there are a lot of problems in the comic book industry. A lot. And this is just kind of one of the problems. I'm going to go over a few things actually in the comic book industry. Some good, some bad, but I wanted to start here because this is a major problem in mainstream comics. A big problem. Okay? You have Rick Remender here, who's a very talented writer. He's written some incredible modern stories. They're not too old. I think my favorite would be Uncanny X-Force. It's a fantastic X-Men run, actually. That had to do with, it's kind of like a Black Ops X-Men team. They kind of just get things done. This is happening around the time where the X-Men lived in Utopia. It was like an island off of San Francisco, and all the mutants lived there. And the X-Men, well, they, lived there, but the X-Force team was kind of the Black Ops underground team. They went and got things done. It was made of Wolverine, Deadpool, Phantom X, Psylocke, Archangel, and a few others. This is a great team, great book. And I think he also wrote Venom and a few other things that were really good. But this was a fantastic run. But unfortunately, if you vote a certain way or have a certain way of thinking, Rick doesn't want you to buy his new books. In fact, he would rather you not buy anything that he's done. And this is a problem. You're absolutely allowed to have whatever political beliefs you want, okay? And it's the same with people in comics. They're allowed to have whatever views they want. But the difference is they shouldn't be allowed to tell you, don't buy my work. Because a lot of the times, 9 times out of 10, okay, these people support other companies. They don't own these characters. They don't, like Dan Slott, who did the same thing he did, doesn't own Spider-Man, but he's telling you, a Spider-Man fan, because you voted a certain way, you're not allowed to buy his character. In fact, he said F off, okay? Now, the difference between Dan and Rick is Dan didn't delete his. He actually deleted this tweet. So this is what Rick put out. If you still support this president, it's okay if you unfollow me and stop supporting my work. I'd prefer it. It's kind of a pretty direct statement. Don't buy my stuff. Go away. I don't support that. I don't really care how you feel about him. If you don't like him or you do like him, my point is, this isn't how you run a business. And this is how a lot of the people in the comic book industry think. They think, you vote a certain way, we don't want you. And that's just not how things should be ran. It really isn't. And it's a huge problem in comics. He's not the first to do it, and he won't be the last. But I do think it needs to be called out when it happens. And he's got a long history of this stuff. I'm so effing done with having people threaten my career if I express an opinion. Take your money and shut up your B.A. Well, So he doubled down on it. I think these are deleted. Pretty sure that he's deleted these. But of course, this is the internet. It's been archived. So, no one's threatening your career. But when you say something like that, okay, you put these works out here. There's a lot of Image Comics, basically. They're creator-owned books, right? If you express an opinion, people that are fans of your work and might vote a certain way are going to say, what's your problem, man? I really enjoy your work, but you don't want me to support you? And they're going to be a little upset, and they're going to comment, and they're going to give you some criticism for that. And that's probably not the way to handle it. What you should have done is maybe word it a little bit better if you have to do that. Look, this is how I feel. Thank you for your support, but I feel this way, and this is just my opinion. Or maybe the actual better way to do this is to not voice it at all. If you really want to do these things, you should have a public Twitter account and a private Twitter account. Have your public Twitter account where you just talk about comics and sell stuff, and then have your private Twitter account where you say all kinds of wild and crazy stuff, and it's locked down and no one can see it. Nick Spencer, who's currently writing Spider-Man, that's what he's done. His Twitter account has been locked down for a long time because he actually seems to have learned, hey, maybe if I want to be super political on Twitter, it's not the best way to sell stuff. And he's quieted down and went into lockdown and just writes good books. His Spider-Man run's actually pretty decent. I think that's the good way to go about it. He has a history of this stuff down here. There's more comments from him. Here's some that aren't deleted. This is from August 9th, 2019. Has anyone ever mentioned that Rump is a right piled S? If not, I'll step forward, trailblaze a bit, and offer that notion. And then he says, it's time to use my platform to let people know we have a terrible president, and now you're through the looking glass with me. People are pretty divided on what he is and isn't. I just think this opinion that Rick Remender has isn't anything stunning and brave. This is the same take every single person in entertainment has. I almost wonder if you have to have this opinion to get it to work. In fact, I think you do. The comic book industry, you have to have it. John Malin, a big figure in Comicsgate, was notably kicked out for having this, and his editor, Alana Smith, was very famously quoted as saying on Twitter, win or lose, if you vote this way, we're going to remember who you are. So another one bites the dust, I guess. I'll take your advice, and I will not be buying your future products. It's a shame, he's a good writer. Too bad. Anyway, here's a funny story. Just going to kind of go over it briefly. I don't want to talk about this too much. I just thought this one was kind of funny. So a couple comic book shops have been vandalized over the weekend because of everything going on right now. There's a really good example. So Golden Apple Comics here. The Vault of Midnight one, I think, got spray painted. Doesn't look like too much really hit them. Golden Apple Comics here, though, you can see their front door here. Their windows are smashed, and that's why they look like this. Now, here's a really better example of this. They're okay with it, though. They're okay. They said, okay, well, we still have a love and respect for our community and stand with the ongoing fight for injustice. So they're thanking people for busting their windows out their front door. Pretty typical for comic book shops to have this type of thanking. I don't support this kind of behavior, smashing out private businesses. I think it's stupid. It doesn't send any message whatsoever. But these comic book shops are so far to the left side of thinking that this is the way things go with them. So it's another issue with the industry, with the way things are and how they aren't very open to thinking when it comes to other political ideologies or anything. So it's not surprising to me, but it's one of the first times I've seen anyone thank someone for busting out their windows. Thank you, sir. Thank you for busting my private business up that doesn't really make that much money. And the owners are going to be in for a rude awakening when they find out how much it costs to replace that glass. It's not cheap. So have fun with that one, buddy. So CBR is back at it again with some more ridiculousness and demands in their articles because, well, they've got some quotas for the MCU's Fantastic Four movie that must be met. So if you didn't know, there is a new Fantastic Four movie coming. I'm pretty sure that they officially announced it in their Phase 4 or 5 lineup. There is a movie coming. I'm hopeful that it's going to be good. We'll see what happens, but the MCU Fantastic Four should be Latinx. Here's why. The MCU can continue to increase on-screen representation and breathe life to a sputtering property and reimagining the Fantastic Four as Latinx. Because that will automatically make the story better or something. I'm not sure, but hey, we need to do this. Everybody must be changed and replaced. I guess that somehow makes the storytelling much better. I don't know. I guess it just does. Check boxes definitely do help the story. So CBR, I'm not going to read this whole thing. I just wanted to make fun of it for a second because I just find these kinds of demands annoying. Final thing I wanted to talk about, though, is this. So check this out. This is really funny. There's a reason I have this pulled up, and it is comic book related, or I wouldn't be using it. Most streamed movies since March 2020 based on data from the Public Information and Statistics Society. This is kind of funny. So I don't know how they put all this together. So let's take it with a grain of salt and say that maybe it's not 100% true because it says unofficial. But I saw like 2 articles on it. So people are going with it. So it's fun. Even if it's not totally 100%, it's still fun to talk about. The reason that I found it funny is every other state, check it out. We got stuff like Extraction, The Hangover, The Interview, Rango, Milk, Lords of Dogtown, Cloud Atlas, Life of Pi, Extraction again, Den of Thieves. Extraction and The Hangover watched quite a few times in certain states. But for some reason, out of nowhere, one state stands above the rest, with California watching Green Lantern the most out of anybody. Not particularly, at least in my opinion, a horrible movie, but not the best movie. This fascinates me on so many levels, like how so many people are watching the same movies in the same state. Like, is it word of mouth or something? But what in particular got everyone in California watching Green Lantern out of nowhere? I thought that was interesting and kind of funny, and wanted to show you guys. So California has been watching Green Lantern, like that state. I don't know. Some people are probably like cringing, like, why am I even talking about this? I don't know. I thought it was interesting. So anyway, that's it, guys. We got more comic book creators doubling down on political thought. We've got comic book shops thanking people for busting their windows out. CBR demanding that the Fantastic Four change. And then California loves Green Lantern. So anyway, fun video somewhat. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts. How do you feel about all of this? Share the video. Throw a like up if you would. Hit that notification bell. Make sure you're still subscribed. Subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out.